Phedon, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Oh, my pleasure.
Uh,
We're very excited about this film, so it's always fun to talk about it. But
yeah, well, look, first of all, I'm glad I get another chance to talk about it because I talked about it with some other people on the team, and I was sad when I had to stop. So, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. I'm a fan of James Mangold, a fan of yours. The movie, I guess I want to focus on the visual stuff initially, but um, you've worked with Jim a ton, and this is unique in that it takes place in a very specific time, and you're kind of creating. Can you just start talking about creating the
I mean,
look?
it's actually, just to correct you, well, it
Please.
is unique and it does take place in a specific time, but it is, I think, our third movie in a row that takes place in the 60s.
That's right. Good point. I was thinking, I
Or
was just
the
thinking,
Ferrari, same period. Indiana Jones, same period.
yeah,
This
that's
one,
funny. And in
it's
Indiana Jones, you're also in New York a lot.
we're also in New York. We
So
even
let's
had the same, I think, the same VFX vendor that created some of the New York sky rises for the CG for the background that we shot in Glasgow and Indy. I think they worked on Indy, some of the same folks that worked on this thing. So we definitely had a chance to hone in on our 60s New York street stuff, although this one is completely different. And
Yeah, because like it's funny because Indiana Jones taking
it's
place in
high
the same
key and it has
right, right.
a
It's
formula
practically a different
that's
right. It's a different
dictated for decades.
I like thinking about
Jim and I were very happy to return to something, where we felt, this is more like our regular ball game, and we can tell, in a way, a much more intimate, smaller story, less action, and focus in on the characters, which is what Jim is great at, whether he does, 310 to Yuma or I mean, even Ford versus Ferrari has incredible car action rate, but it's all about the character being in close, understanding what makes the protagonist sort of tick, and it's a difficult task with Ken Miles in Ford versus Ferrari because he's a kind of an introvert weirdo, and so is this cat,
yeah.
Robert Zimmerman, but that's the interesting part of our journey is to see how this very young kid comes from Minnesota and then ends up, in the big city and getting exposed to all this thing, and kind of like, what influences him and what makes him become Bob Dylan, and which he can't even answer himself really. If you interview him now, he doesn't know how those words came to him. So
No,
it's a fun thing. It's because it's not your typical biopic in a way, because it only deals with a specific section of his, this beginning, his development and discovering his journey of reinvention and self-discovery, or defying boxes, and continued till the present day. So it's nice because also that era, a lot was going on, not just folk music, but jazz and politically, and there's a lot of similarities. As we know, history repeats itself. I
sure.
feel like it's a great opportunity having Timothy being just this unbelievable. I mean, like, we're all blown away by his performance, but having him be the one that maybe can bring this kind of music and get Gen Z people to, 18 to 25-year-olds to maybe like listen to more than like the three Bob Dylan songs that they know. And I think it's really a great opportunity, and um, we had a
Yeah.
lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, well, you kind of wrapped it, you put it all a bow on all of it there very nicely. I want to hone in on the choices you make visually and the visual language of a movie like this versus something like, because you brought it up and you're right, it's the same New York 60s world as Indiana Jones, but it's a completely different universe. And when you're talking about character and lens choice for an actor who is delivering, you know, almost like the special effect of this movie, the set piece is like Timothy singing, you know, and performing. And can you talk about capturing that?
That's where the inspiration comes from. I mean, in terms of lensing, we do always approach it where we like our wide lensing. We don't like to isolate our characters. So we shoot these close-ups, but we shoot them on a wide anamorphic frame. And in this case, I actually chose a much greater depth of field by using a new camera that allowed me to go high speed. I was shooting Venice
Which
2.
one?
Yes, Sony Venice 2, which I had tested, and I realized I can rate it at 6,400. They say 12,800. They say, which Jim really embraced because, you know, we love our aspect ratio of a 2:3:9, and then framing an intimate close-up, but also connecting him to its surroundings. And you know, as he arrives in New York, one of the first shots, he comes out of the Holland Tunnel, he gets dropped off by the car, and you just already see the billboards and the street and the textures and the dirt, and Francois and wardrobe and Ariane and costume design and Francois, they really gave us a lot. You know, it's not a VFX show. I mean, we have obviously VFX for audience at big concerts, but we dressed all these streets, we built all these storefronts, the clubs, you know, the interiors of the clubs, the interiors of the bars. So he can walk and roam on the street. There's all the street lights, the parking meters, the period cars, and he can. So we really can follow him down 2 or 3 blocks, which we created in New Jersey in Hoboken. The movie shot 90% on location, very little set build. With
Yeah,
exception
that's
of
funny you say all that because those first shots when he gets out and he's walking around, and you know, I'm a very, you know, I'm reviewing movies and I'm a critical movie watcher, but I still was like, wow, there's so much detail packed in here from the period. And it like almost like in a weird way, it was like, man, it must have been hard or expensive. Like I was
yeah,
just
and
almost like
Mangold was
aware
always
of some of
throwing
the
more
stuff.
garbage, throw in like more, like get some papers, you know, like throw garbage because he's a New Yorker. He grew up in you know, I mean, he's my generation. So I mean, but we remember his late 60s, the 70s. New York was, you know, not a clean it's not the gentrified, you know, Greenwich Village or East Side, Lower East Side of today. And so, you know, it was really fun, sort of. And then, you know, as he arrives as a young man, he's like in his wool coat and his cap and his guitar case and these sort of muted tones. As his character develops and becomes transitions from Robert Zimmerman to Bob Dylan, you know, especially with a cut to 65 when he's got the Ray-Bans and the leather jacket
Yeah.
and the orange shirt and the hair and the motorcycle and, you know, also the saturation. So naturally, as his character becomes more expressive and he finds himself and defines his persona, visually the language follows, maintaining the lensing choices, which is always, you know, really tracking him close. I mean, that's the beauty, and that's where our inspiration comes from. When you have a guy who's actually singing and playing guitar and harmonica like that,
Yeah.
I mean, the camera really wants to be there, you know. So
Yeah. But your
those
choice.
close-ups are very, very powerful. And Timmy just, you know, we play all these songs through, actually multiple songs in a row. It's not like staging a scene with blocking. It's like, all right, you know, duck, 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 here we go. And then camera operators, camera assistants, we just have to be ready and fluid to go with whatever he does. Similar as on Walk the Line, because with Joaquin, you know, you also never really knew what he's going to do on stage. And Timothy was incredible, and also we gave him the freedom to perform the way he wanted to.
Tell me a little more about the difference between, because the movies obviously draw a comparison. You probably
Yeah.
learned a lot in making Walk the Line, that you were like, we've been kind of not, you know, totally different character, different story, very different performer, also incredible, but you're dealing with a different kind of central figure in the way he performs. And you just referenced it a little bit, like Joaquin is not like he's different. And can you tell me a little bit about like the variance, because you got yet another like phenomenal performance here in the role
Well,
of an icon
Johnny
everyone
Cash
knows.
actually, Johnny Cash embraced and loved performing. I mean, he had some troubled times, but he's much more of a romantic. That's more of a love story. This is about a guy who doesn't. It's you have to pull out the information. He doesn't reveal himself. He's an introvert. So the performances are even more like internal, and you really have to get in there and in the eyes, and it's all the little details that he does with his gestures. I mean, not just the performance scenes, but when he's withholding looks. Cash was, "Hello, I'm Johnny Cash," and like, I
Yeah.
mean, there, like, you want to hug him, and he declares his love constantly. This guy declares his non-interest.
I was thinking
So
about the way he flicks ash on a cigarette, even the way his fingernails look.
that
That
everything, the way he puts on his glasses. So like all of
yes,
us put on glasses like this. He goes like this. It's
yeah, and he
all
would
these
take them
things.
off like a claw. Like
Yeah, and
yeah,
and I mean, I'm a big Dylan fan. I've seen tons of documentaries and footage and stills, and so I'm quite. But all these things, to discover them through Timmy, and go, well, I guess that's how he did it. Yeah, but like him really picking up on all these details, and that is a beauty of working with a performer like that, and us as cameramen. That's our job. Like, they give us all these little gifts, and we just have to be there and capture them and make sure like the camera is definitely in the right place at the right time, and not to get in the way, and give him, lighting wise and technically, I give him a lot of freedom. We try to light the entire space. His apartment, when he first came to his apartment and we're blocking the scene, and he's discovering like his little coffee machine, his record player. It's all beautifully reconstructed from detailed photographs that was well documented. And
oh
but
wow,
for Timmy, it's also like he's also like experiencing the space, and we're experiencing him. And he'll do one rehearsal where he sits on the armchair, and then he'll go sit in the corner on the bed and grab a guitar. Because I think I'm going to be over here, but he also, it's like a full process, and
and then
and
you would so you would kind of let him
we
find
adjust.
it.
It's not like we have a shot list and we go, okay, here's your mark. You're going to be making coffee over here, but you're going to look out the window, and we're going to try. It's like, just feel it. And Mangold is amazing like this. He's very good communicating with actors. He has his authority, but he also really understands that, if you tie them in too much to a rigid filmmaking structure, you're going to miss out on a lot of beautiful
Yeah.
things
Can you
that.
tell me about how that works when you're doing something that is so complex as in Indiana Jones, and you've got a talent like Harrison Ford, and you've got to be specific because you're locked into like the mocap, the aspect of the face and the aging or the body. Like there was so much specificity, I assume, with the VFX, but you
Well, it's
have
much
that
more
same like
restricted. It's
yeah,
that thing is prevised and storyboarded, and you can't really go off the books too much, because every shot costs a lot of money, and you kind of, in order to even budget and schedule the movie, you kind of got to. I mean, with Harrison, we also try to give them freedom, but you can't maintain a shot. Like, we were so looking forward to having a narrative structure where we're not so technical, and we can really focus in on the characters, and it's the performances, of course. We cover, when we do the wide shots, three cameras, but we're single camera guys. We always think
yeah,
about a camera first, and then if there's another opportunity. But like, all this stuff, I have this incredible Steadicam operator, Scott Sakamoto, who also did Maestro and A Star Is Born, and he also understands and feels the beats of the songs, and he really roams around for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, as long as his track takes. And often we go into the second song, like the Newport concert in the end.
yeah.
I believe he plays all three songs back to back.
Oh,
live.
wow. That's crazy. So it's a
Yeah,
dance. Like they're the painter and you're the
it's
canvas
a
and you're
dance,
watching. Yeah.
and you know, we communicate with a little bit with the operator, but basically, you know, it's too loud to really communicate even on the special headset. And it's
Yeah.
just like pushing in, rotating around, tying him in with the audience, and then finding these beats, you know. And that's all very instinctive filmmaking. I mean, we are experienced filmmakers, and it helps that I've done 7 features with Jim. I mean, we have a very common language, like scarily common in terms of our
Well,
sense of competition and um,
I've been told I have to wrap. I can't wait to talk to you the next time you and Jim do a movie, and I can't wait to see it. You guys have crushed it every time for me personally, so I appreciate it and I'm grateful. I loved the movie, so thank you.
well, thank you, appreciate it, and yeah, let's hope it reaches out to a whole new generation of fans.
I think so. I think Bob Dylan's going to make a lot of new playlists.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think so.
I'll talk to you soon, Fredo.
All
Thank you.
right, thanks so much.